Dr. Marcus Chen looked at the old gardener like he'd suggested using magic. Actually laughed, out loud, in front of everyone. James Thornton stood in the greenhouse doorway, 68 years old, dirt under his fingernails, faded work shirt, worn boots. The man who mowed Victoria Ashford's lawn and trimmed her hedges and pulled weeds for 15 years. Invisible, unimportant. "I'm sorry," Dr. Chen said, voice dripping condescension. "Did the gardener just suggest we treat a $5 million ghost orchid with activated charcoal and mycorrhizal fungi? That's adorable." The three other botanical consultants smiled. Expensive suits, PhDs from Harvard and Yale, flown in from around the world, each charging $50,000 for their expertise. All of them looking at James like he was entertainment. Victoria Ashford stood by her dying orchid, desperate, watching her prized possession fade. The rarest plant in her $20 million collection, hours from death, and nobody could save it. "The symptoms," James said quietly. "Root necrosis combined with epiphytic fungal colonization. That's not common rot. That's armillaria complex, with secondary Phytophthora infection. The charcoal creates a buffer zone. The mycorrhizae establish competitive exclusion. It's the only treatment that works." Dr. Chen's smile faded. "How would a gardener know those terms?" "Because 40 years ago, I published the definitive paper on armillaria treatment in rare epiphytes. Cambridge University, Journal of Plant Pathology, 1984. You probably cited it in your dissertation." Silence. Complete silence. Victoria stared. Dr. Chen's face went pale. The other consultant stopped smiling. "You're Dr. James Thornton? The James Thornton? The one who revolutionized orchid disease treatment? I used to be. Now I'm just a gardener. But your orchid has maybe 6 hours. Either let me treat it or watch it die. Your choice." What they didn't know yet was that the gardener who pulled weeds had once been the world's leading plant pathologist. That he'd walked away from Cambridge, from research, from everything. That he'd chosen simplicity over recognition, peace over prestige. And that in the next 72 hours, he would save a $5 million orchid and teach a billionaire what really matters. This is that story. 40 years earlier, Dr. James Thornton stood in his laboratory at Cambridge University, 28 years old, rising star, the youngest professor in the botany department. His research on plant pathogens was groundbreaking, revolutionary. He'd identified new treatments for diseases that killed millions of crops, saved orchid species from extinction, published papers that changed the field. His wife, Eleanor, was proud, supported him, even when he worked 80-hour weeks, even when he missed dinners, anniversaries, moments. "James, when was the last time we had a weekend together?" "I know. I'm sorry. This research is at a critical phase. Just a few more months. You always say that." "I know. But this matters. This could save species, could feed populations, could change everything. What about us? Do we matter?" "Of course you do. You know that." But he didn't show it, didn't prove it. Just kept working, kept researching, kept choosing plants over people. Then Eleanor got sick, started with fatigue, then pain, then diagnosis, rare autoimmune disease, attacking her organs. Doctors said she had maybe 2 years. James tried to be there, tried to balance. But the research called. The papers needed finishing. The grants needed writing. The species needed saving. "James, I need you. I'm here. I'm trying. You're physically here, but mentally you're in the lab, with your plants, always with your plants. They need me too. I'm dying. They're not." He should have listened. Should have stopped. Should have chosen her over everything. But he didn't. He kept working, kept researching, kept telling himself he had time. Eleanor died on a Tuesday. James was in the lab, working on a paper about orchid fungal resistance. She'd called, asked him to come home. He'd said, "Just finishing this section. I'll be there in an hour." She died before he got there, alone, waiting for him. The guilt destroyed him. He'd saved plants, saved species, saved everything except what mattered most. He quit Cambridge, walked away from research, from papers, from recognition, moved to America, found work as a gardener. Simple, physical, penance. For 15 years, he'd pulled weeds and mowed lawns and told nobody who he used to be. For 15 years, he'd hidden from his past, from his brilliance, from the life he'd wasted chasing prestige while his wife died alone. He deserved simplicity, deserved invisibility, deserved to be forgotten. It was the least he could do. Victoria Ashford didn't hire James. She inherited him. He came with the estate, had been working there for 12 years when she bought the property. She barely noticed him, just the old man who maintained the grounds, who kept everything green, who appeared invisible. Victoria's obsession was orchids, rare species, impossible to obtain, worth millions. She had 200 specimens, a greenhouse worth $20 million, each plant cataloged, insured, protected. She didn't love them, not really. They were trophies, status symbols, proof of wealth, proof of power, proof that she could own things others couldn't. Her pride was the ghost orchid, not the common Florida species, but a hybrid created by a mad botanist in Thailand. Only 3 existed in the world. Victoria had paid $5 million for hers. It was perfect, ethereal, white petals, ghostly appearance, the crown jewel of her collection. Then it started dying, started with yellowing leaves, then root discoloration, then wilting. Victoria brought in experts, botanists from New York Botanical Garden, from Kew Gardens, from Singapore. Each one prescribed treatments, changed soil, adjusted humidity, added nutrients. Nothing worked. The plant kept dying. Faster now. She was desperate. This plant defined her collection, defined her status. If it died, she'd failed. And Victoria Ashford didn't fail. She brought in Dr. Marcus Chen, Harvard Ph.D., orchid specialist, 15 years experience, published researcher, expensive. Dr. Chen, you come highly recommended. I appreciate your confidence. I've treated dozens of rare specimens. I'm sure we can save your orchid. It's not just any orchid. It's worth $5 million. There are only 3 in existence. You understand the stakes? I do. May I examine it? They went to the greenhouse. Dr. Chen spent an hour examining the plant, taking samples, testing soil, measuring conditions. Well, the symptoms are concerning. Root rot, fungal infection, but treatable. I'll prescribe a regimen, fungicide, adjusted watering, temperature control. Should see improvement in 2 weeks. 2 weeks? It's dying now. These things take time. Trust the process. Victoria had no choice. She trusted him. 2 weeks passed. The orchid got worse. Leaves completely yellow, roots black, petals dropping. Dr. Chen was baffled. This doesn't make sense. The treatment should be working. But it's not. Try something else. I'm not sure what else to try. This is unusual. Unusual. It's dying. You're supposed to be an expert. I am. But this is beyond typical pathology. I might need to consult with colleagues. Do it, whatever it takes. Dr. Chen brought in 2 more consultants, Dr. Sarah Martinez from Yale, Dr. Robert Kim from Berkeley. More tests, more samples, more theories. None of them could figure it out. This is unprecedented, Dr. Martinez said. I've never seen this combination of symptoms. Could it be viral? Dr. Kim suggested. Possible, but viral treatments could kill it faster. So what do we do? Victoria demanded. We're exploring options. But Miss Ashford, you need to prepare for the possibility that this plant might not survive. That's not acceptable, I understand. But sometimes, even with our best efforts, save it. That's what I'm paying you for. They tried everything, every treatment, every theory. Nothing worked. The plant was dying, days from death, maybe hours. James watched from outside the greenhouse, saw the consultants, heard their discussions, knew exactly what was wrong, knew exactly how to fix it. But he said nothing. It wasn't his place. He was just the gardener. Nobody would listen anyway. The crisis reached its peak on a Thursday. The orchid was nearly gone. Petals fallen, roots completely black, barely alive. Victoria was in the greenhouse, yelling, desperate. You're all supposed to be experts, Harvard, Yale, Berkeley, and none of you can save one plant? Ms. Ashford, we're doing everything. Everything. It's dying, right now, in front of us. Do something. There's nothing left to try. We've exhausted all known treatments. So that's it. I paid you hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you're giving up. Dr. Chen looked at his colleagues, looked at the plant. I'm sorry. Sometimes plants die, even with the best care. Get out, all of you, get out. They left, defeated, embarrassed. Victoria stood alone in the greenhouse, staring at her dying orchid, at her failure, her pride destroyed. James walked in, quietly. Miss Ashford. She turned. Tears in her eyes, actual tears. First time he'd seen her show emotion in 15 years. What? I might be able to help. You're the gardener. I know, but I've seen this before. What's killing your orchid? I know how to treat it. The experts said there's nothing that works. They're wrong. This isn't common root rot. It's armillaria complex with secondary phytophthora, rare, aggressive, but treatable. How would you know that? Because I've treated it before, long time ago, different life. But I know what I'm seeing. Victoria looked at him. Really looked at him for the first time. Saw something in his eyes. Knowledge. Certainty. Can you save it? Maybe. If I start now. But I need you to trust me. Why should I? You're a gardener. Because everyone else has failed. Because your plant is dying. Because you have nothing to lose and maybe 6 hours before it's gone. That's why. She was quiet, calculating. What do you need? Activated charcoal, mycorrhizal fungi mix, sulfur compound, distilled water, and 72 hours. That's it? That's it. The experts said that wouldn't work. The experts don't know what they're looking at. I do. Your choice, Ms. Ashford. Let me try or watch it die. She nodded. Do it. James got to work. The treatment was delicate, precise. Required knowledge most botanists didn't have. First, he removed the plant from its medium, carefully, exposing the diseased roots, black, rotting, dead tissue spreading. He trimmed the dead material, surgical, exact, then applied activated charcoal to the cuts, creating a barrier, preventing spread. Next, the mycorrhizal fungi, specific species, competitive exclusion. They'd colonize the healthy tissue, prevent the pathogen from advancing. Then the sulfur compound, precise dosage. Too much would kill the plant. Too little wouldn't stop the infection. He worked for 4 hours. Careful, methodical. Victoria watched, silent. Finally, he repotted the plant. New medium, sterile, temperature-controlled. Now what? Now we wait. The fungi need to establish. The charcoal needs to work. 72 hours. Either it lives or it doesn't. That's it? Just wait. That's biology. We can't force it. We can create conditions, but the plant has to fight. How do you know so much about this? James was quiet. Hadn't talked about his past in 15 years. I used to be a botanist. Long time ago, before I was a gardener. Where? Cambridge. Plant pathology. You worked at Cambridge? I taught there, researched, published. Why didn't you tell anyone? Because I left that world behind. Chose this instead. Simpler, quieter, better. Better? You're a gardener. You could be... I know what I could be. I chose what I am. There's a difference. Victoria didn't understand. Couldn't understand. But she saw something in him. Something she'd never seen before. Peace. Actual peace. Something she'd never felt despite $3 billion. The next 72 hours were tense. James checked the orchid every 6 hours. Monitoring, adjusting. The first day, no change. Still dying. Victoria was anxious, doubting. It's not working. Give it time. We don't have time. We have what we have. Trust the process. The second day, something shifted. The blackness stopped spreading. The plant stabilized. Not better, but not worse. Is that good? It's progress. The fungi are working. The charcoal is holding. But it's not recovering. Not yet. Takes time. The third day, new growth. Tiny. Almost invisible. But there. Green tissue. Healthy roots. Life. Is that what I think it is? Victoria whispered. Yes, it's fighting back. It's going to live. She cried. Actually cried. Not from losing the plant. From saving it. From watching something she thought was dead come back to life. How did you do this? I didn't. The plant did. I just created conditions. Gave it a chance. Nature did the rest. The experts said it was impossible. The experts didn't know what they were looking at. Didn't understand the pathology. Probably never treated armillaria in epiphytes. It's rare. Requires specific knowledge. Knowledge you have. Knowledge I had. Haven't used it in 15 years. Why not? James thought about Eleanor. About guilt. About penance. Because I spent too much time saving plants and not enough time with the person I loved. Because I chose research over my wife. Because when she needed me, I was in a lab. And when she died, I was working on a paper. Because I don't deserve to use that knowledge anymore. I deserve to be a gardener. It's simpler. It's what I've earned. Victoria was quiet. Then, that's the saddest thing I've ever heard. Maybe. But it's honest. She wouldn't want you to punish yourself forever. You didn't know her. You don't know what she'd want. No. But I know what it looks like to waste brilliance. To waste gifts. You just saved a $5 million plant that every expert said was dead. That's not something a gardener does. That's something a genius does. And you're hiding it. Burying it. Wasting it. I'm not wasting it. I'm choosing peace. That's not peace. That's penance. There's a difference. The orchid recovered fully. 2 weeks later, it was thriving. New growth. Healthy roots. Even started blooming. Victoria called Dr. Chen, told him the gardener had saved it. He didn't believe her. The gardener? That's impossible. Come see for yourself. He came, saw the orchid, healthy, thriving, impossible. How? Ask him. Dr. Chen found James in the garden, pulling weeds. You saved the ghost orchid. Yes. How? Treated the armillaria complex, like I said. But that shouldn't work. The literature says, the literature is incomplete. I wrote most of it, 1984. Cambridge, you probably read my papers. You're the James Thornton, the one who revolutionized orchid pathology? I used to be. Used to be. You're legendary. Your work is foundational. Why are you here? Why are you a gardener? Because I chose to be. But you could be anywhere. Any university, any research institute. They'd pay anything for your expertise. I know. I don't want it. Why not? Because expertise means pressure, means responsibility, means people depending on you. And when you fail them, when you choose work over people, they die. I learned that lesson. I won't make that mistake again. Dr. Chen didn't know what to say. I'm sorry. I mocked you. I dismissed you. I didn't know. You couldn't know. I didn't tell you. It's fine. It's not fine. I was arrogant, condescending. You tried to help and I laughed at you. You're not the first, won't be the last. People see a gardener. They don't see anything else. I'm okay with that. How can you be okay with that? You're brilliant. You saved a plant nobody else could save, and you're content pulling weeds? Yes, because pulling weeds is simple, doesn't hurt anyone, doesn't require sacrifice, doesn't take me away from what matters. It's enough. What matters? You're alone. Working a job that wastes your talents, living a life that gives me peace. That's what matters. Not recognition, not status, not proving how smart I am, just peace. That's more valuable than anything you can imagine. Victoria offered James a research position. Her estate, private lab, unlimited budget. You could work on whatever you want. No pressure, no deadlines, just research. Wouldn't that be better than gardening? No. Why not? Because research is never no pressure. There's always pressure to publish, to discover, to prove, to matter. I don't want that anymore. But you're wasting your gifts. I'm not wasting them. I'm choosing how to use them. I saved your orchid. I'll save others if needed. But I won't go back to that life, won't sacrifice what matters for what looks impressive. What matters to you? This. The garden, the soil, the plants, the simplicity, knowing that at the end of the day, I haven't hurt anyone, haven't missed anything important, haven't chosen prestige over presence. That's what matters. Don't you miss it? The research, the discovery. Sometimes, for about 5 minutes, then I remember what it cost, what I lost, what I sacrificed, and I don't miss it anymore. Your wife, she died. Yes. How long ago? 15 years. And you've been punishing yourself for 15 years. I've been living differently for 15 years. There's a difference. Is there? Because it looks like punishment to me. Then you're not looking closely enough. Punishment would be forcing myself to do something I hate. This isn't punishment. This is choosing what makes me whole, what lets me sleep at night, what lets me live with myself. That's not punishment, that's wisdom. Victoria was quiet for a long time. I have $3 billion, 20 million in orchids, houses all over the world, and I'm not happy. Not really. I thought having rare things would make me special, would make me matter. But it doesn't. I'm just lonely, surrounded by expensive things and no real connections. Then change that. How? Choose differently. Choose people over things. Choose presence over prestige. Choose being known over being important. It's not complicated. It's just hard. You make it sound simple. It is simple. Doesn't mean it's easy. But it's worth it. How do you know? Because I spent 40 years choosing wrong. Choosing work over wife. Research over relationship. Prestige over presence. And when she died, all that prestige meant nothing. All those papers, all that recognition, none of it mattered, because I was alone, because I'd wasted what actually mattered, chasing what looked important. Don't make my mistake. So, you're saying I should give up my orchids? No. I'm saying enjoy them because you love them, not because they're expensive, not because they prove something, but because they're beautiful, because they bring joy. That's when things matter, when they connect you to life, not when they prove your worth. 6 months later, Victoria's greenhouse was different. Not smaller, not less impressive, but different. She'd started giving tours to local schools, teaching kids about plants, about care, about patience. She spent less time acquiring, more time enjoying, less time proving, more time being. She'd also started a foundation, funding botanical research. No strings attached, just supporting scientists who wanted to study plants. She named it the Eleanor Thornton Foundation, after James's wife. I hope that's okay. Using her name, it's more than okay. She'd love it. She always wanted me to do work that mattered. That helped people. I got lost trying to be impressive. Maybe this is what she meant. She'd be proud of you. For what you've become. For choosing peace. Maybe, I hope so. James stayed on as gardener, turned down offers from universities, from research institutes, from foundations. He was happy. Actually happy. Not because he was important, but because he was present. Not because he was recognized, but because he was whole. One day, a young botanist came to the estate, fresh PhD, struggling with research. "Dr. Thornton, I'm sorry to bother you, but I read your papers. From 40 years ago, they changed my life, made me want to study botany. I'm working on orchid conservation, hitting walls. I heard you might be here. I know you're retired, but would you be willing to talk? Just for a few minutes? Your insights could help save species." James thought about it, about saying no, about staying in his simple life. But this wasn't about prestige, wasn't about recognition. This was about helping, about using knowledge to save things, not to be impressive, but to matter. "Sure, let's talk. But just so you know, after we talk, I'm going back to pulling weeds. This isn't a comeback. This is just helping. There's a difference. I understand. Thank you. Really, thank you." They talked for 3 hours. James shared insights, techniques, perspectives. The young botanist took notes, asked smart questions, left inspired. James went back to his garden, back to his weeds, back to his simple life. And he was happy. Victoria watched from the window, smiled. She understood now. Success wasn't about what you achieved. It was about who you became. It wasn't about recognition. It was about peace. It wasn't about being important. It was about being whole. James had taught her that. The gardener who used to be a genius, who'd chosen simplicity over status, who'd chosen presence over prestige, who'd chosen to be known rather than important. That was wisdom, real wisdom, worth more than all the orchids in the world. Sometimes the most brilliant people choose the simplest lives, not because they're not capable of more, but because they've learned what matters. They've learned that prestige without presence is empty, that recognition without peace is hollow, that being important without being whole is worthless. James Thornton was one of the world's leading botanists, published papers that changed fields, taught at Cambridge, revolutionized orchid disease treatment. Then he became a gardener, not because he failed, but because he learned that saving plants while losing people isn't success, that being brilliant at work while failing at life isn't achievement, that all the recognition in the world can't fill the hole left by absence. So he chose differently, chose simplicity over complexity, chose presence over prestige, chose peace over proof. And when someone needed his expertise, when a $5 million orchid was dying, when all the experts failed, he stepped up, used his knowledge, saved the plant, then went back to pulling weeds. Because that's wisdom, knowing when to use your gifts, knowing when to stay simple, knowing the difference between being important and being whole. Don't judge people by their jobs, by their status, by what they've achieved. Judge them by whether they're at peace, whether they've chosen what matters, whether they're whole. Those are the people who've truly succeeded. If this resonated, leave a comment. Subscribe if you believe in choosing peace over prestige, in people who use their gifts wisely, in gardeners who save orchids and go back to pulling weeds. Those are the people who understand life. Those are the people who matter.